Hello, hello, hello. Welcome all you lovely people. Welcome to my channel. This is Vicki, aka the Virginia Stitcher, coming to you with a very, very late video. It's probably been almost 6 weeks since I filmed my last video. So I apologize. I apologize so much for being gone from you guys for so long. I've missed you. I've honestly missed you guys. So what I'm going to do is I've got lots of WIPS to show, a few starts and plans that for October. If I didn't say so, this is Flosstube number 30, and this is September 30th of 2022. Today is a cloudy day, so I do have my ring light on. I do face the windows now to try to have some natural light, but there's not a whole lot of that going on right now. We've got the probably the outer bands of Ian. Right now, I believe it's over. It went through Florida, so I'm hoping everybody there is safe and getting their power back on if they lost it and things like that. But right now, it's my understanding it is in South Carolina, but it is a rather large hurricane, and so we're getting the outer bands here in Virginia, and it is supposed to hit the southwestern part of Virginia tomorrow, but and go through that area. That's the track so far. Here I'm in central Virginia, and we're gonna have rain for about 3 days. We're gonna have a good few days of rain, and it has started today. It's cloudy, a little breezy, and it's raining a little bit. It's not raining really hard, but it is starting. So we're just getting the very, very outside of the bands of the hurricane. Because like I said, it is spreading from the Carolinas and hitting into Virginia now. So that's where we are today. So today is a good day to come stay inside and film a video. So, and talk to you lovely people. Where have I been? I have been busy. I know I haven't filmed a video in a while, but I have been stitching, so I have a lot to show. But I have been gone half of the month of September. Probably about maybe a week or so after I filmed my last video, I went down to Florida to go visit my mom and spend some time with her. So I was down in Florida for I was gone for about a week and a half. And then I was home for maybe a week, and then I was off again. I went to my small stitching retreat that I do in Ocean City with a few ladies. So in my Tangle retreat. So I did go to that, and I just got back from that about less than a week ago. So I'm back. I don't travel again until in about a month. I go to with some of my local ladies, and we do a crafting weekend. It's not necessarily a cross stitch weekend, it's a crafting weekend. It started out as scrapbooking, but ladies knit, scrapbook, diamond paint. I might diamond paint and cross stitch, because I might go ahead and pull out some of my diamond painting that I've been wanting to try to get finished. I have one that I want to hang near our wine area in the basement. Yeah, I'm a wine drinker. My husband sometimes jokes and calls me a wino. I can't handle most alcohol. When I went to go visit my mom, she loves this one Mexican restaurant close to her house. So we went there, and she said, oh, they make the most delicious frozen margaritas. So I thought, well, I'll order a margarita. And of course, they come in a really large margarita glass. And I had one. And oh, I was really feeling it. I mean, they really definitely put tequila in their margarita. And I probably a few hours later ended up with a headache. I ended up with a migraine. I just can't do alcohol. I can drink a glass or two of wine, but bourbon, rum, all that stuff, I pretty much try to stay away from. I can't do it. But I do drink wine sometime in the evenings. I might have a glass of wine with dinner or after dinner. And so we have a little wine fridge, and there's a wall space near our bar area in the basement that I have this one diamond painting that I want to finish to hang there. So I digress. Like I said, I have lots of WIP. I have some haul, because when I was down in Florida with my mom, she lives maybe half an hour south of Ocala. And in Ocala, Florida, there is the Brook City Stitchers store. And so I wanted to check it out. So I went there and found a couple of things. And then in Ocean City, I love Salty Yarns. Salty Yarns is probably, out of all of the cross-stitch stores I have been to so far, I haven't been to all, just a few, but it is jam-packed, full of charts in all kinds of styles. They have yarn on one side and, you know, all the knitting needles and things like that, the accoutrements to go along with knitting and crocheting. And then they have lots of charts, cross-stitch charts. New, she puts all her new stuff at the very front of the store. So if you're just looking for something in particular that's brand new, which I was, found, grabbed it, got it. I'll show that to you in a little while. Actually, I've started stitching it while I was there in Ocean City. So, and then they have a nice selection of fabrics and lots of threads. So when I was able to get some threads to kit a couple of my things. So I have haul to show you guys. So I guess I'll get into it. I want to talk about comments. I've received lots and lots and lots of lovely comments from you guys. I was so busy with traveling, and when I was home, I had things I had to do. And so I didn't really comment. I apologize. I did not comment a lot on the comments, but I did read each and every one, enjoyed each and every one, and I'll put a heart, and then that'll let you know that I have read your comment, I have seen it, I've liked it, and I enjoyed it. If I don't get around to being able to reply to every single comment, I'm so sorry, but I've been traveling and doing things, and I just didn't have the time. I'm hoping that my videos, I'll tell you in my plans, I have some plans that I've drawn up that I'm going to try to do and see how this goes for me for the last quarter of the year. And if my plans work, I want to continue it into 2023. But so I do have a rotation I'm going to try, and it doesn't mean I can't change my rotation a little bit if I want to. But I've also got a if I'm doing that, I'd like to try, because I've got a lot to show you guys. It's going to be like a mini WIP parade. I've got piles around me of stuff. So that I've stitched on. I want to show you some previous finishes, FFOs for fall stitching that I have. There's not that many. And plan stitches and things like that. So I've got a lot. So let me go ahead and get started because I'm rambling. The first thing I wanted to show you was some of my fall finishes that I have. If you remember last year, I showed this one. I FFO'd, finished it and FFO'd this one last year. And this one is Pumpkin Spice by Shannon Christine Designs. So I just finished this. I bought kind of a framed piece that there was something else underneath here. I can't remember what it said. It could have even been a Christmas framed thing. I knew whatever it said in here, it didn't matter, because I was going to glue a flat piece onto this, and then I just added some ribbon, and I covered a button. I used the covered button from Drit's kit that I picked up at Joann's. Used a little piece of this fabric right here to cover the button so it would coordinate, and used a little orange pom-pom trim. I stitched this on a piece of 16 count Aida. So I finished this last fall and was able to FFO it so that I could display it. So this has been sitting up in my dining room for the last few weeks. So, and I'll go put it back up there when I'm finished filming. But I love this one. And like I said, this is Shannon Christine Designs, using all the called for DMCs. And this is a 16 count, I want to say this might be milk chocolate Aida. Some kind of a chocolate color Aida. And I just love the bright colors in this one. So that is one FFO. This other one isn't quite an FFO. She was a long time ago. This is an old piece that I finished. I don't even know what the name of this one is. I want to say I got it out of a cross stitch magazine years ago, but I probably stitched her about 15 years ago. And I used to just stick her in a plain 8x10 frame, and she's just stuck to a piece of sticky board. So you'll see that she's kind of, she's not laying really even and flat, and I want to refinish her. But this is my little pumpkin witch. That's what I call her, my pumpkin witch. She is stitched on a piece of, I believe this is 18 count Aida in an off-white color, a kind of a beige color. And she's stitched with all of the called for DMCs. But look at her. She's so sweet with her little pumpkin seed bag sitting on top of that pumpkin, that beautiful orange pumpkin. So she's one that I want to try to do a different do something with her. I think I had her in a frame before that had a little bit of mat around her, and I want to redo her. But she was stitched years and years ago. And like I said, it's probably a Just Cross Stitch magazine or something. I used to subscribe to all the magazines back in the day. So she was something that I finished a long time ago when my kids were younger, and they loved her. And then this last one I finished last year. This is another Halloween piece. This is by Jardin Privé, and this is ABC Halloween. And I just found this frame at a store here called At Home. It's a really light frame. I didn't want the glass in it. I mounted this onto a piece of board with some batting behind it, and just pinned it and stuck it in the frame. And then I just set this on a tabletop. So this is, and it's stitched on a piece of opalescent Aida, like 16 count. This was given to me at StitchCon last year in 2021 by a lovely lady. And I want to say it's Mystic Fabrics, I believe, was the lady who gave this to, she was with her and gave me this piece of fabric. And I stitched with all the called for DMCs. So this is Jardin Privé's ABC Halloween. And that is all of the fall Halloween type of finishes that I have right now. I don't have a whole lot. I used to stitch, and I gave away a lot of stitching years and years ago. Didn't stitch a lot for myself. Now I'm stitching more for myself. I've got a lot of plans for things that I want to have displayed in my home. But and I gave away, I even got rid of some stuff. I used to have some things and I just got rid of them. I gave them away to people. I said, I don't need it anymore. During some moves and things like that with the just things going on through life. Oh, and I want to tell you about my sweatshirt. I found this at, there's a store in Fredericksburg called Lazy Daisy, and it's more of a decor shop, but they had a little section of sweatshirts that were embroidered sweatshirts, and they all are for the theme Hocus Pocus, the movie. So I picked up this one, Sanderson Sisters Brewing Company. So it's a witch's brew, premium witch's brew. So the new Hocus Pocus movie is coming out. It actually is starting tonight on September 30th. So the Hocus Pocus 2, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. My younger daughter, this was probably the favorite Halloween movie of hers. I think it came out when she was maybe 7, and she loved it. So she was like 7 or 8 and loved the movie ever since. So she's all excited to see the new movie. So I got her a sweatshirt also. So that is all of my finishes. Now I'm going to get into all of my WIPs. Now they're not in any particular order. I have them stacked all here. I just grabbed them all, stacked them up. Some of them are new starts. I'll let you know which ones are new starts in WIPs. So what I wanted to do, when I checked in with you guys last time, I said there were a couple more summer stitches I wanted to do before I got into my fall stitching. So I did that. And one of the pieces that I wanted to get some work done on, and I wanted to finish the second block that I had going on, was my Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And it looks like this. Sorry for the little bit of glare. It's in the plastic. Because I do have my ring light on since I have very little window light coming in today. So I had already had this block finished. I didn't do these flying seagulls. I'm not sure if I want to put those in or not. So this was the block right here that I wanted to finish. I had the house finished. I had the words up here done. I had the one kind of looks like a flower motif here done. But I needed to come in and put the little lady up here on the widow's walk, do these sailboats, the water, the fence, and this grass. So I needed to still fill in all of this. And I thought, you know, a couple of evenings, won't take long. These hawk run hollows, you'll hear it all the time. And I will back that up 100%. These hawk run hollows are just a lot of stitching. You look at the little square and you think, oh, it's just, all I got to do is do this and that. But it takes a little while. So I'm going to show you the whole thing because I let you know that I'm trying to grid out all of my hawk run hollow pieces so that I can just move from block to block. So I have to back up quite a ways. So this is where I am. This one is being stitched on a 16 count piece of Aida that I coffee and tea dyed myself using Priscilla and Chelsea's coffee and tea dye tutorial on their YouTube channel that they did a while back. So if you search on Flosstube for coffee and tea dyeing fabric, you'll find their video. So I did that. They dye it, then they bake it. You bake it in the oven on a low temperature, and that's what brings out this mottling stuff here. That's where I baked it. I didn't want to bake it a whole lot. I just wanted light mottling. But this is the block that I was working on. Let me fold it and bring it in. And I'm using the DMCs for this, not the MPIs. And this is my finish on this one. I also had to do this little bit of back stitching around the door and on the stairs and things like that. And the lower windows, I didn't have those back stitched in. So this is my second block. And like I said, on the first block, I did not do the seagulls that are flying. I just had the one on the ground. Thought they looked kind of funny, and I wasn't sure if I really wanted them or not. The lady on the top of the house here, her skin was done in this white color. And I picked a lighter color, but she's kind of looks like I didn't even stitch her in. Let me see if you can see. There are stitches there. It matches the fabric. So, you know, but I think that's good enough and it'll work. So the next time I pull this up, I can start on the next block. And it might be the big one in the middle that's the ship. Right here. This large one. I might start on this one. I don't know. I'm not real sure. Could come down here and do this one and just do this whole row. Have a bingo. So I've let you guys know in the past, but for those of you who haven't seen some of my older videos, this piece I am stitching as a memorial piece for my dad. He was a Navy man, and he passed away from a brain tumor about 16 years ago now, right around my birthday in April, 16 years ago, he passed away. And I wanted to do this piece. So this block here, I'm going to personalize and put some of my dad's information in it when I get to that point. So that is where I am on this piece. Enjoying it, enjoying it. I love all of these hawk runs. I'm going to try to, sorry if I have to kind of turn away from you guys, but I need to find somewhere to kind of throw my pieces so they're out of the way. Oh, and the other summer-ish piece, I call patriotic stitching summer stitching for me. This one, I wanted to get a little more work done on this because I hadn't touched it all summer. And this is by Teresa Kogut, and it's Land That I Love. So I've been working up here. And when I showed you last time, I said I wanted to finish this eagle, you know, get his other wing filled in, and maybe work on the berry bowl and things like that he is on. Standing on top of. I am using a mixture of DMCs and overdyes for this piece. So my DMC pieces, I do them longer because also, if you're new, generally I stitch, most of my stitching is on 16 count Aida or 28 or 32 count Lugana, an even weave. And I almost always stitch with 2 threads. So I do the loop start method. So I use an extra long piece of DMC, but I use 2 separate pieces of overdyed so that I keep the variegation in my thread. So I am using, most of these are probably called for, but I probably subbed in some, because also, if you know me, I sub in I stitch from stash. If I don't have it or couldn't get it, I will, looks like most of it's the called for. I've only subbed in, I put an or here for this one, so some of the parts will be stitched in that, and I subbed in a General Arts for that week's dye works there. For Fathom, I'm using or, and it says or also. So some parts will be stitched with the called for color and some with a different. I started this one back on May 16th of 2021, last year. And I'm stitching this on 16 count Aida in the color Lamb's Wool. And let me fold this, double this so I don't have to hold a board behind it. This is where I am on this piece. So when I picked this one up, I worked on the eagle. I went ahead and I had this wing outlined. I had his little body finished, and I had his one wing finished and this one outlined, but I needed to fill that wing in. And the berry bowl that he is standing on, I did that. And I put in a few of these leaves up here, and I extended the border down around the corner, and I extended this over. I think I had about, just a little bit here. So I extended it over. And that was, I believe, all I was able to stitch. Picked it up and worked on it probably about 3 days. And that's where this Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut is for this year. Probably won't get picked up until next spring, summertime, just because I'm more of a seasonal stitcher. And like I said, I feel like patriotic stitching is summerish to me, because I think of Memorial Day and 4th of July and all of that as all summertime. The next piece I'm going to show you is one of my a Halloween piece. I was feeling like, oh, I want to bring this one out, work on it some. And I have several projects in this one bag, so let me find the one that I worked on. Get her. I am stitching her with all of the called for. This is by Glendon Place. It's in my large Garon Toten Bags bag. I have 2 other Halloween pieces in here with her, but this one is by Bella Filipina, and she's called Bellatrix. She's a beautiful sorceress. So pretty. So when I showed her to you before, I had, the top of the window finished. I had all of the stitching for here, but not the beads and things. And her flame that she's holding in her hand. I had her face done, I had her skin up here done, and just a part of her hair here. But I came in and I worked some more on her. And what am I stitching her on? Just a second. Sorry, I have to reach down again. I have her info in here somewhere. Bellatrix is being stitched on a piece of 16 count Aida, and it is a question mark Aida. I started her on April 9th of 2021. I am using all of the called for DMC beads and metallics so far for her. So she's on 16 count Aida, but it's a mystery fabric. I'm not real sure exactly which fabric this is. I'm going to fold the... So I came in and I worked on her some more, and I'm loving her progress. I think she's turning out quite beautiful. I do say so myself. And this is where she is. So I was able to come in and do all of... I did a little bit of stitching in her face a little bit, and then I finished all this hair over here, and I think there was still a little bit here to do. And then I came down and I started working on her dress, did a little bit more in her shawl here. But this is Bellatrix by Bella Filipina. And that's where I am on her. So she is coming out gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Sorry, I got to bend down again. Sorry that I show the top of my head to you guys and stuff, and sometimes turn my back because I'm trying to move things around a little bit. Let's see, what next one do I want to show you guys? I'll show you this one. I picked this one up and I worked on it just a little bit more. This one is another Hawk Run Hollow. This one is the Village of Hawk Run. Looks like this. And I am working on this block right here because I had showed you I did the same thing. I gridded out all of the blocks and I'm working in this one right here. And I had most of the boarding house done, but I needed to still fill in some on that. So when I was in Ocean City in my hotel room the last night, I sat up in my room and I stitched on this for a little while. So, and this one's being stitched on a piece of 16 count Aida called Aged Paper by Color and Cotton. Oh, and I still have my needle and my thread hanging here because, like I said, I was working on it in the hotel room and then I just packed it up and brought it home. So I have all of the blocks gridded in, as you can see. I'm using all of the called for DMCs. All of my Hawk runs, I'm using the DMCs, not the MPI. And this is where it is. Let me fold it. So I had to finish filling in, I had about half of the front of this house filled in, this color. So I had to finish doing that. And then I was working on the fence over here. So that's what I was doing in the hotel room. And maybe, I don't think I picked it up when I got back. But that's where it is. This is Opal's boarding house, part of the Villages of Hawk Run. So that's where that piece is. Oh, might get it picked up some more over the next couple of months. See if I can get that block finished. We'll see. So that is where I am on that piece. So that's 2 of my Hawk runs that I got some work done on since I last checked in with you guys. Now this other piece I was just working on this last night. So it is still on a Q-snap. And this one is one of my fall pieces. And this one is Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. Looks like this. This is the one that it is all full coverage except for these little parts here where the green is, where it looks like grass. That is the material that shows through. All of the rest of it's all filled in. So the sky's all filled in, all the trees, the buildings. So when I showed it to you guys last time, I had, I'm sorry for the glare, some of these trees filled in up here in this upper corner and the sky up here filled in. So I had come down and started working some more down in here and got a little bit of the buildings done. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color green. It's just a plain green. And this is where I am. So I came in and I stitched this roof, this part of this building, got this one finished, started on this one. I did this little bush down here, and last night I was working some on this tree down here. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing in some of my variegated silks and things like that and just kind of playing around and changing up the colors of the trees a little bit. So I had a variegated silk that I was using here from Be Stitch Me. And this one here is supposed to just be this plain yellow DMC, but I wanted to do a little different. I did the same thing up here. I blended it with a piece of the orange, an orange color and a yellow color blended together. I don't know if that's showing up, but just trying to do something different. And this one I was adding 2 different colors, and I'm sorry, I think they're in the other room because I was stitching on this last night and I think I forgot to bring it in. But this is 2 of the different variegated silk flosses from Be Stitch Me. And one is highly variegated, has browns and things. If you look at this bush up here, that's the first place where I was stitching with that one. And I stitch vertically. I do in vertical rows. Most people do horizontally. I do vertically. So you'll see it started out where my thread was brown and it worked kind of yellow and orange. So it almost looks kind of Neapolitan, but in fall colors. It just goes from like chocolate to orange. So here I blended two together, an orange thread. I think it's this same orange here and this thread. And it helped kind of break up so that the colors aren't so strong like this. So that is my Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. That's where I am so far on this one. Still working on the first page on that one, but I'm loving it. I love the colors. I love the fall colors and things. That's what drew me to this one. All the fall foliage. Let's put that one down there. Now, when I was in Florida, I'm going to show you haul at the end, but some of my haul is stuff I've already started stitching with because I couldn't wait. So, this one I picked up in Ocala at Brick City Stitchers, and I was in the store and I was feeling the Halloween vibes, and I picked this Prairie Schooler Bump in the Night. I started working on this one. I picked this up at Brick City. I picked up this piece of fabric there, and all I needed was black and orange. So I didn't use the called for orange on this one. The called for orange on this one is DMC 3826. Instead, I picked an overdyed. Let me see what I picked. I can't remember what the name of it was. It's a Weeks Dye Works, and it is pumpkin. So I picked this one to do my orange parts. And then I'm just using DMC 310 black. These are my two colors that I'm going to use. I'm using for it. And I picked up this piece of fabric there, and this is called Cream and Sugar 16 count Ada, and the color Cream and Sugar, but it doesn't say who the dyer is on the piece of paper. This is where I am. This is where I got to. And this, like I said, I was working on it in Florida at my mom's. So I kind of, same thing, packed it up and left it with a thread hanging. But the orange, you can see a little bit of variegation. I was able to get the witch. And then I started on this, I'm guessing it's a dog. All of the other things I can tell, like, owl, another witch, a bird, a cat, a wolf or a coyote in a haunted house. This, I'm guessing, is a dog, and it says yikes. And I'm not real fond of that one. I had started it when I was at my mom's because I finished the witch and I thought, let me go over and start doing the next motif. But when I was in Ocean City, I was sitting next to Danielle. She is Stitcherista on Flosstube. She's been doing Flosstube for, I want to say, about 5 years. I started watching her back, how I found her channel probably 3 or 4 years ago, probably about 4 years ago. I started diamond painting, and she was diamond painting, and I found her through watching people diamond paint. And she was one of the ones that she was diamond painting, but she also was a cross stitcher. And so she was sometimes showing cross stitch pieces. And when I saw her cross stitch pieces, I thought, oh, I used to cross stitch and really enjoyed it, but haven't done it in like 10 years. So by watching her and Rachel Ray, who also does diamond painting, but started dabbling in cross stitch 2 or 3 years ago, they opened up my want for starting back to cross stitch again. And I was sitting next to Danielle at Ocean City, and I was just enjoying spending time with her and some of the conversations we were having. And we went to Starbucks. There's a Starbucks on the boardwalk, just off the boardwalk, a few blocks from the hotel. So we walked to the Starbucks and got coffee and all of that, and we just had a good time. So where I was going with this, she right now, she's back to cross stitching, but she is stitching on perforated paper. That is her medium of choice right now. And she stitches on 18 count perforated paper. So if you're interested in seeing somebody who takes all of these charts, like she just finished Bump in the Night when we were in Ocean City, if you want to see somebody stitching them on perforated paper, and she dyes her perforated paper because 18 count 18 count perforated paper does not come in colors. So she sprays and dyes her own perforated paper. Ugh, words. She was working on one with a cauldron. I can't remember what what design it was, what the name of it was, but she was doing it on a piece that she dyed purple. Perforated paper, beautiful perforated paper. So if you're interested in checking out somebody who does perforated paper cross stitch and see how that goes and how she actually dyes her perforated paper, because there's a technique. Because it's paper, you have to be very careful. You can't saturate it too much. And she did, by trial and error, figured out the best way to perforate, color her perforated paper, and it comes out beautiful. And her stitching is gorgeous. And, you know, it was fun spending time with her. So she took, where I'm going with that, she took and she switched in this, oh, that's the pattern. She took and switched in the skeleton here, for this motif right here on her piece. And I think I'm going to do the same thing because I like this one a lot more than I like this one. So I stopped because I wasn't feeling this motif, and I might have to frog out these stitches and start over here. But I did get the witch done. So that is where I got on that one. Like I said, I was stitching on that one in Florida. I haven't touched it since, but because I got home and I was busy working on a bunch of other things, and I've been busy. So that is that piece. Sorry about my throat. It seems like if I talk for a while, I start getting a frog in my throat. So I think I need to start getting in the habit of taking drinks occasionally. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you. Ooh, this one. This one came out. This is a new release from Teresa Kogut. This was the one I was telling you guys that I really, really wanted. Oops, sorry about that noise. That was my zipper hitting the table. Went to Salty Yarns in Ocean City, and they had it. And I grabbed it. I was like, I know exactly what the one and only thing that I was honestly going there to I wanted to get it because I already had, I already looked up what all the threads were, already picked out a piece of fabric, I already knew what the size of the project was going to be on my fabric and all of that. All I needed was the pattern. So I went to Salty Yarns and I picked up Teresa Kogut's Halloween, her Halloween book, Hello Halloween. And I love all of the projects in here. There are 11 different projects and they are all absolutely gorgeous. But I definitely wanted to start out with this one. So that's what I did. I started with that one. I am stitching this on a piece of, and this I picked up. I had a piece of fabric picked out, but wasn't sure if I was convinced that's what I really wanted to stitch this piece on. So I looked at the fabric that they had at Salty Yarns, and I found this piece of Caramel Macchiato by Fiber on a Whim, and it is a 32 count Lagana, and I started it on this. And I didn't get super, super far, but I got pretty good amount done for being at a retreat. So I started stitching on it, and I got this far. So, but like I was telling a couple of the ladies next to me, I was telling Madeline, it was sitting next to me, this kitten here, this black cat and this black cat should match exactly. But I was looking, and this black cat legs, front legs here are one stitch shorter than the other one. I didn't stitch in their green eyes because there's just one stitch, you know, 2 stitches here and 2 stitches here. So I was going to wait till I had a bunch and then just fill them all in. So once I thread my needle with that color, I want to be able to go along and get a lot more done. But I was like, I will wait, see if it bugs me, because there are going to be a total of, I think I counted 20 of these black cats all the way around the border, plus all of the stuff that's going on inside. Will I really notice in the scheme of things that this cat has a little bit shorter legs than that one. And if it's really, really, really bugging me, then I'll fix it. And then this is that rather large pumpkin. So this here, it looks funny. This is the rest of his mouth. I got started on his eye. But, oh, and look at the spider. I did put the little spider in down here that's hanging off of that border. Look at that spider. So, like I said, there are, I believe, 20 cats that go all the way around. And I'm up here. And see, that's that large pumpkin. So he has this really wide mouth. So I need to finish filling in him. But like I said, and I'm loving it on this caramel macchiato. I'm liking that choice better than the one I picked out of my stash. This one has several really pretty patterns. I'll just flip through really quick and show you what. There are a bunch in here. I'm going to try to show them to you without showing the chart. Here are 3 of the pieces that are in there. Look at all of those. I love each and every one of these. There are those 3 pieces. Besides that Halloween one, there is this one in this book. I think this book retails for $30, but it is well worth it. If you love Teresa Kogut's designs, they're kind of folk artsy, and I love that. There's this one in there, and it's stitched 2 different ways. Shows you on a darker fabric and a lighter fabric. This one is like a flat fold. This is a pillow. It's the exact same chart. And you can see how different it looks. Doing it different ways on different fabrics. There's this one. These 2 cats. There's 2 here. Look at those guys. I love those. A lot of stitching. That's a lot of solid stitching. But I love those. And let's see. This one. I'm not sure if I'm showing you every single one. I'm just flipping through really quick. This one's in the book also. Pattern for that one. And, oh yeah, these 2 witches here. Both of these are in the book. To stitch both of these. I really like that one. I don't know if it's the houses. I like the stars. It looks like she got stars on her rear, on her rump. What else? Is that it? At the end of the book? Yes. So there are several in this book. Love it. I have plans to stitch on this one some more this month because I only got a little bit of stitching in on it at the retreat. So got plans to get some more done on this one. This one is fun. All right, let me stick that down there. The next one, oh, here's another Hawk Run. This was one that I was stitching on. I showed it to you guys on my last video. I was still trying to finish the Hawk's wing. I wanted to get it finished. This is Map of Hawk Run Hollow. And it looks like this. Oops, sorry, I have some of my DMC's extra skeins I needed in the way a little bit there. But I was working on this large wing, and I had part of it done, but I didn't have it finished. So I wanted to finish his wing before I put him away for a little while. I'm stitching this one on 16 count Ada in the color Heartland by Picture This Plus, and I am stitching it with DMC. I've switched in a couple of DMC's colors, but most of them are the called for. And let me fold this up a little bit. And this is where I am. So I was able to come in and do his wing all the way down here. And then I started filling in a couple of the other little things down here that are in the same color. This wagon wheel down here. So this is where I am on it. So the whole thing. The watercolor in that river that's flowing through Hawk Run, that I switched to a different DMC color. But the hawk is all done in the called for colors. So that is a lot of stitching to get that hawk done, because he runs the whole border. The border stops like about right here and goes across. So he goes the whole length of the piece. Loving it. So that's where I was able to get on this one. So I thought, okay, he was in a good spot to be able to set aside for a little while. I started this one on October 15th of 2021. So I've almost been stitching on this one for a year. Been rotating that one in here and there. And that's where I am on that one. If you also know me, I switch around on a lot of different projects. So, you know, getting that much done is pretty good progress. I don't remember what's in this bag. This one's a surprise. Let's see. What is this one? Oh, this is one I started. I didn't get very far. I started this maybe the day before I left to go to Florida to go see my mom. And this one is Sweater Weather by Plum Street Samplers. Cute little Dotsons. Adorable. Love it. And they're sweaters. They're cute little fall sweaters. I am stitching this one on a piece of 16 count Aida in the color Mellow by Picture This Plus. Oh, and I still have a thread hanging here. It's not actually attached though, it's just in a needle minder. And I just got a little tiny start on it one day. So this is the back end of one of those Dotsons and part of his sweater. So not very much. This one's a kind of a pitiful little start, but you can kind of see the yellow color of the Mellow fabric here. If I hold it back, kind of up close to the light, sometimes it blows out the color. But that is it. I'm using a lot of the DMCs and just a couple of 1 Week Dye Works and a couple of Classic Color Works. Not, most of them are the DMCs for this piece. And I believe they're all the called for DMCs. I don't think I'm doing anything too crazy. I think I just switched, yeah, Peapod for pine needles, Just Rust terracotta. And that is my little bit of progress on that one. That was a new start. And this next fall bag, what does this one have in it? It's another one I'm trying to think. Oh, this is another one I started. I started this one for Leanne's Legacy Sal hashtag. Leanne was part of, oh, why can't I think of the Flosstube channel? Barb does it now by herself. It was Barb and Leanne. Leanne passed away from cancer, and so Barb wanted to do a, oh, why can't I think of her Flosstube channel? Anyways, you know, I turn on my video on the camera, and then all of a sudden things just go. But I started this one. I believe the start was on September 21st. So it was, you know, not long before I went to Florida. I started this one for the hashtag Leanne's Legacy Sal, and it is the Gather In by Plum Street Samplers. And this one, this house is probably going to kill me. It's a lot of fill in. I am stitching this one on a piece of 16 count Aida in the color Moccasin by Fortnite Fabrics. And I did not get too far. I mean, it doesn't look like much, but I think I spent a good couple of days because it's just solid fill in. And this is where I am. And this house right here is, I worked on it a little bit at my mom's, and I was filling in this house. It's kind of blending in with the background. So when I get it all finished, once I get the roof on it and everything and all the windows in and stuff, if it still looks really faded in, then I'm going to probably outline it in like maybe a brown color like this, or this, maybe even the black or something, whatever I decide. I might outline it, just put a back stitch around the side. I probably only need to just do it up the side, just the side that's sitting here up against the fabric color. And I am not going to, I'm stitching this one on Ada, and it does have a little bit of over one stitching. It does here for this name of the horse, I believe, down here, and the proprietress name, the little lady here there in the wagon. I think I'm going to leave those off. I'm just going to stitch that in and not put those words in. And I can't remember, there might have been maybe one other small thing that was in over one stitching. Not sure. But that's how far I got. I didn't get very far. Beautiful piece of fabric. I love these Fortnite fabrics. And it's showing up pretty good on the camera, the house. But we'll see. I'll keep working on it. Like I said, if I get finished with it and it still looks like it's blending in too much, then I will do a little outline on there. As always, stitching with 2 threads over 1 on Ada, 2 over 2 on my even weaves. This one is a new start. This is one I started right before I went to Florida. Worked on it. When I went down to Florida, I only traveled halfway. It takes me about 12 hours to get down to my mom's. So I traveled halfway, stopped at a hotel, traveled halfway to her house, and then did the same thing back. So while this was my hotel stitching on my trip, and I had a little bit done before I left to go to my mom's. But I was watching, I think her name is Nadine, the Nightly Stitcher. And she's showing how she is working on the Santa's Village, all in one, by Country Cottage. Is it Country Cottage? Yeah, Country Cottage Needleworks. And so I needed to do it, you know, because I'm crazy that way. So I picked up all of the parts, and I started on, this is part of Santa's Village. I started on Santa's house. This is number 1. I put a sticky note, because these aren't labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 through 12. And so what I did was, I'm working on this one, and this one will be the next one next to it on that same row, number 2. And I went ahead and picked up all of the overdyes, and I got the buttons for these pieces. Each piece comes with a button. So I went and labeled each and every one. So this will be the 3rd one in the row, the post office. Number 4. And like I said, I have, you know, if they have and I put an asterisk because this one's called for on 2 of them, 2 sections. So I didn't want to put this in my stash when I finished this, you know, rekit it back into my stash of threads. When I was finished with this square, I'm showing part of the pattern, knowing that I still need it for another section. So these are all, each and every one of these. Number 5, number 6, and they all come with like just 1 or 2 threads that they need that are in overdyed. The rest is DMC. And usually the overdyed is like the house, the building in it. That's number 7. And I numbered this number 8. So it goes 4 across. If you want to see somebody who's gotten a lot of it done, check out the Nightly Stitcher on Flosstube. But they'll go 4 across, and there's 3 rows down for all 12 of these. And she talks about how she's actually laying it out. So if you wanted to put it all as one piece, this kind of looks like a peppermint border up here, this red and white stripe, that all connects all the way across the top of each row. And then these connect down at the bottom, these vines, these holly vines. And there's number 12. That's the pattern. Don't want to show it to you. I am stitching this one on a piece of, and I have all the buttons. I just left them in the little, I'm not going to take them all out. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color Vintage Country Mocha. And like I said, I started on the first one, which is Santa's house. And I got this far. I like Vintage Country Mocha. Any of these brown tans are really good at showing up the white nicely. So like I said, this will connect all the way across. And then underneath, I'm working on the snow here. But underneath is that like a holly vine, and it'll go all the way across. And then it'll do it for each row. But I got the house done. I'll tell you what though. I don't know what my issue was when I first started working on this. I said, what's going on here? I'm not having a good time with this. This one's starting to make me mad. It's cute. I love it. But it was me. I was having an issue. I was doing the roof and made a mistake. So then I had to, if you see the roof's like 2 different colors, kind of in a pattern, I had to frog some of the roof. And then I had to frog it again. I think I frogged the roof, part of it twice, had to start it over twice. And then I went in and started doing this smoke or whatever, and I messed up on it. I was like, what in the world am I doing with this thing? And then after I got past frogging it 3 different times, it was smooth going after that. But when I first picked it up, I was like, is it my eyes not wanting to adjust to the, because I had been working on Ada on a couple of other pieces, and this one's an even weave, and maybe my eyes weren't adjusted to switching to stitching over 2, because like I said, on 32 count Lugana, I stitched 2 over 2. I use 2 threads, and I stitch over 2 threads. So I was having a fun time with that. And I don't know if it was because I was on travel, I was in my hotel room. I don't know. Who knows if that was my issue with it. But I got rolling, and I got the house finished. Now this next one I pulled up and I worked on a little bit while I was at the Salty Yarns retreat, at the Tangle retreat in Ocean City. And I had started this one before, showed it to you once before. Let me see if do I have any of the info on this one? This one is being stitched on a piece of Lugana. It looks like 32 count. I'll have to look it up. This one is a Teresa Kogut. This is Heaven in Nature. It's another Christmas piece I was working on this month. Figure I want to get a little start going on some Christmas things, because this one's big. So it's going to take a while. It's not going to be done for this Christmas. Neither is Santa's Village, because there's a lot of stitching in there. A piece of extra thread hanging in here. I am stitching this one on a piece of Caravan Tan by Fortnite Fabrics, and it's 32 count Lugana. It's beautiful. This is beautiful fabric. I love this Fortnite fabric. Gotta say, it's one of my favorites. Let me double it over, because I'm not that far on it. And this is where I am on Heaven in Nature by Teresa Kogut. And like I said, this is Caravan Tan 32 count Lugana by Fortnite Fabrics. So it's just a really soft mottled fabric. I had, let's see, what was I working on? Well, I did all of the plant in here. I'd already had the pot done, the border right here done, and the angel, the little cherub, when I had worked on it before. So I came in and I extended the border over the top, put this plant in right here, most of it. This little squirrel, there's another little squirrel next to him, and they're both holding an acorn. And then at my retreat, I was working on these stars. I was coming in and I was doing this border down here. So that's what I was working on. And started getting, there's a star, a flower, a star, a flower, a star, a flower going along the bottom. So that's what I was working on. One of the pieces I was working on at my retreat. So you see here, it's a star, a flower, a star, a flower. And the flowers change from red to gold, you know, they kind of alternate. So I was working on that, and I have this little squirrel done. There's another little squirrel. Still have to do these 2 little birds up here and finish that flower, I think, in the basket there. But that's where I am on Heaven in Nature by Teresa Kogut. It was kind of a Teresa Kogut weekend because I started that Halloween sampler that I purchased while I was there. I was working on this one. And I was working on another one. I don't think I've showed it to you yet. There's another Teresa Kogut I was working on. So I kind of felt like, oh, this is like a Teresa Kogut retreat for me. I did work on one other piece that was not a Teresa Kogut. And I have this one housed in a bag that was made with Teresa Kogut fabric. So I'm going to work some more on that soon. Yes, these are the other two pieces that I took to my retreat in Maryland. This was the other, and I got a mistake on this one. This is the other Teresa Kogut that I was working on a little bit while I was at the retreat. And this one is Newcastle Bouquet by Teresa Kogut. And I was working on this bird right here. I'd already had some of this border here done and this ABCD, and I came over and I was working on this bird. And so I was working on him, and I guess I can't talk and count at the same time. That's not it. Where is he? Oh, here we go. This one is being stitched on a piece of, I think this one's 28 count. 28 count Lugana in the color Wheat. And I believe I'm using pretty much the called for threads. And I'm stitching 2 over 2. And this is where I am on it. Oh, and there's still a thread because I needed to pack up. I was working on this on the last day of the retreat, and it was time for the stitching room to close. So I just packed it away, and I was mid-thread, but also because I am off 1 stitch here. So somewhere in this bird, he's 1 stitch short. So I stopped. I was like, darn it. Because I'm trying to think, can I flub it and it not keep messing me up the rest of the pattern, or do I go ahead and frog him out, try to figure out how far I need to frog to fix the mistake? Because I don't think I need to frog all of it, but that's where I am on this piece. I love this wheat color for these reds in this Newcastle Bouquet. So I have a feeling everything I got done on this one may be frogged out. But I was working on that one at the retreat. And the other one, the only one that wasn't a Teresa Kogut piece that I was stitching on in the room, is by Heartstring Samplery, and it's His Eye is on the Sparrow. I had purchased, I think I purchased the pattern even at Salty Yarns while I was there. I think back in December, when I went in December to Salty Yarns last year. And I picked up the fabric and the flosses and this chart, and I started it. So I kind of like to bring this piece and always try to work a little bit on it. I am stitching this one on a piece of, I don't know if this is 32 or 28, Lugana in Vintage Country Mocha. So it's the same like I'm stitching the Santa's Village on. I love Vintage Country Mocha. It's a nice neutral piece that's dark but not too dark, and I got this far. So what I did this time when I was stitching at this retreat, and I've stitched on it in between, was I did this horse, I did this plant here, and I did this flower. I had this one already done. This flower I had miscounted and had to frog it out, so I re-put that flower in while I was there because it was an empty space. And the called for color, I was talking to another lady, Nancy, that's at this same retreat, and she has this same piece that she's working on. Oh no, it wasn't Nancy, it was Debbie. Deb has been working on this one also, and I was telling her, I said, but my horse's mane looks kind of green. And she said, huh. And so she came over and she looked at it. And then when she went over to Salty Yarns later that same day, She looked at the color that was the called for color for that. And she said the one they had over there was more brown. Because she said when I stitched it, it was a more brown color. And so what I did was I had picked up a color of floss while I was there. So I picked out the mane and the tail and the hooves of that horse. And I restitched it using one of these colors, Garden Gate, that I had just picked up while I was there. This one was more brown. The color that was called for was, let's see if I can find it. Was it Piney Woods, maybe? Oh, no, it was Pecan Pie. This was the color. And if you can kind of see, it looks a little green. So I switched it for a more gray-brown color. But if you can see that, I didn't like the horse's mane looking kind of green. So that's where sometimes dye lots change, because this pattern was, I think, a 2014 pattern. Let me see if I can see where this one's been out for a little while. So it was worth it to me to frog it and do a different color. And I'm much happier with the way the horse looks, because I thought he looked kind of sickly. The rest of the color of him looked good. You know, the other brown, this tannish brown. And now that I have him more in this gray brown for his mane and his hoofs and his tail, it's looking better. Because he was kind of greeny and I didn't like it. So that's where I am. I didn't get too much. I think I worked one day on that. And like I said, I had to frog a little bit and stuff. So, because I kind of stopped. I was like, oh, I don't want a tail and mane of the horse to look greenish. So I worked on both of those and while I was gone. And I just stuck them both in this bag because this is a larger So Much to Love bag. So it was big enough to go ahead and just fit both patterns in here. And that way I just had one. This is one that's got a wider bottom on it. So back there. And this one I was working on, I've actually been working on the last few days. This was on my WIPS board. So I pulled it out and I was working on it. I actually was working on it a little bit this morning. And this one is by the Scarlet House. And it is called A Perfect World. In a perfect world, you would find me here with the birds and the flowers and the dogs and the deer. So I am stitching this one on a piece of 16 count Aida. I think this is Beautiful Beige. Let me look. Amazing Gray. Beautiful Beige and Amazing Gray look kind of similar to me. And I am stitching it with all of the called for DMCs. Well, mostly DMCs and a few of the overdyes that are called for. But she has the DMC conversion. And I am using a couple of overdyes, but most of it's DMC. And I switched out, where is he? This puppy dog right here that's in front of the fence, I made him white because I have a dog that my older one, she's black and cream, but she's looking more black and gray now because she's 10. So she's starting to get a little gray. And then my younger one that's turned 7, she's really like, she's more of an ecru color. She's a very, very light beige. But I stitched this puppy dog here white to kind of symbolize her. And then I'm just going to leave these two black and brown. They're actually for the lady who did this chart, her dogs. So this is where I am. And this is my little white puppy dog here that I switched out. I don't have their eye in yet and their collar. You know, there's a couple stitches for their collar. I'll put those in a little later. I don't like to thread my needle for just 1 or 2 stitches if you can wait till there's more of that color somewhere else, and then I'll stitch it in. But what I did this last time on these last few days that I was stitching on it, I filled in the petals for this flower. I stitched in all of this black that's around this flower, because I think I had the black up to about here. I stitched in this part of this grass, this puppy dog, and the tree. So, and the width of it is to here. So this is how far I am on A Perfect World by the Scarlet House. And I am just using the DMC 310 black. And I love the coverage I get from DMC. I use 2 threads on 16 count Aida. So I'm stitching with 2. And that's my piece for A Perfect World. And I've got plans for A Perfect World that I'll tell you about in my plans. Let me put that away. Hopefully I'm not making too much noise in the camera, in the microphone. The next piece, I'm getting there. What are we, over an hour? This one was my birthday start this year, back in April. And, oops, that's not her thread. This one is a Hands Across the Sea piece, and it's called Elizabeth Weston, circa 1830. And they had to put circa on here because it's kind of a vanity sampler. It's probably hard for you to see, but right here she picked out the last 2 digits of the year that she stitched this in. It says Elizabeth Weston, aged 11 years, 18, and then she picked those out probably later when she was an adult. And she didn't want people to be able to do the math and figure out how old she was, would be my thinking. So she took out the last 2 years on that sampler, 2 dates of the year, 2 numbers, whatever. So I started up in here and I did some stitching for a few days on it. Get it. And this one's being stitched on a piece of 28 count. 28, let me check. Here's my throat again, need some more water. I think it's 28 count. I'm pretty sure it's 28. Sometimes I have a hard time finding my piece of paper. No, it's 32 count Stone Gray Lugana. And this I picked up at Salty Yarns one of the times I was there. And then this is where I am. Don't mind these magnets. They're holding all of this fabric. She's going to be a large piece. But it ends right here and it ends there. So this is all of what I have stitched so far. I had already had this border here done. I had this flower motif finished, and I had a couple of these in already. But I came in and I finished all of these flowers here, this flower, that flower, and extended this border over. So I probably doubled the amount of stitching that was in this piece when I picked it up this last few days in this month. Loving it. I'm loving these colors. I'm loving the way they look on this stone gray fabric. It's kind of a brownish gray. And a lot of the colors in this are going to be, pinks and greens. And when you look at the picture here, it's really hard to see, like, some of these look white. Like, there is actually a basket stitched in white down here that you can't even see, but I know that they're going to show up because I think the color of the basket is the same color as these, and that basket's going to show up on this fabric. So that is my Elizabeth Weston, and I have plans for this young lady. And I will talk to you about that in my plans. And because I have one more thing to show you. This one is I'm seeing a piece of thread. I think that was in my Heaven and Nature. I need to put that back so I know which one it goes to. This one is my my morning stitch. This one is the one that I'm trying to, and for a little while I wasn't having time to do this, and I'm getting back on the track with it. I'm wanting to put in a length of thread. And when I say a length on this one, I'm meaning that I stitch with 2 threads, and most thread comes with 6 strands. So I'm putting all 6 strands in. So that would be 3 lengths. If you're talking about one whole 6-strand length, 3 of that in every morning is what I'm trying. And this is One Nation by Bygone Stitches. I hope I'm making sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking, like I talk about something and then I show you the project, and I don't know if that's confusing you guys. Sorry for the little bit of glare. But this is the one with all of the states in the order that they joined the Union, and the 50 Quaker Star motifs in the star field there. And I came in and I was working on it some. And this one is being stitched on, oh man, what is the color of this one? I know I have it written in here somewhere. Or is it on the fabric? Sometimes I leave the tags on the fabric. I think this was, sorry for the noise, the zipper pull hit the table. No, I think this one is Haunted. I believe this is Haunted by Seraphim Fabrics that I picked up at Steel City Stitchers Retreat back in February. So I had started this back in February, and this is how far I am on it. So when I was picking it up recently, well, I think since you've seen it, I've added in a couple of more, I think Tennessee and Ohio, a couple of more states. And I came in and I was working on trying to grid in all of this. I got the red stripe stitched in, and then I was trying to add, you know, I'm trying to finish going ahead and gridding in all of this so I can just come in and put the stars in and the state. So that's my thinking, is I want to try to get this finished, the blue part, and then I just come in and stitch in all these stars, Quaker Star motifs, and stitch in all the states. I put Virginia blue because that's where I'm living, and that's where my husband and I met and got married. He was born in New York. And when we get to my state that I was born in, I'm going to do it in gold also. But if you notice, it's kind of hard to read New York on this one. So I am going to frog that out, and I am going to switch to a brighter gold color. I looked in my stash. The color that I've been stitching it in is by Victorian Motto, and it's color Poppy. It's a very pretty gold color, but it's not showing up that well. So I picked out this one that's called Golden Leaves by Victorian Motto, and it's a brighter yellowy gold. And I think that's going to show up better on my fabric. I thought this gold would, but it's kind of really hard to see. So I think switching to a brighter gold is going to help that pop some more. So that's where I am on One Nation by Bygone Stitches. And like I said, this is going to be my morning piece. I'm going to try to put a whole length of thread in it each time. So a length of thread would be like on this gold, taking this whole piece here, you know, one of the whole pieces, and stitching in until I'm finished stitching, you know, or if I finish a state name or a star motif, something like that, you know, however far in the day, but I'm going to try to pick it up every morning that I'm home and available to stitch on it. Sometimes I'm not home or I'm doing stuff. I don't usually take this one on retreats too. I haven't yet because it's one I work on mostly at home. So that's going to be the goal on this one, is to continue to do that and make it a focus piece to stitch on every morning. And then until it's finished. So those are all my WIPs, all my starts. And sorry, I'm reading my notes here. So the next thing that I wanted to show you was my haul. And it's been a good while. And I've been to 2 cross-stitch stores. I behaved myself. I wasn't too bad. I mean, kind of behaved myself. Still adds up really quick. But I am 2 of the month clubs, and one of them is Garon Stitchery's Cottage Garden Thread of the Month Club. And you get 5 Cottage Garden threads. My the one for this month is in the mail. I'll probably get it tomorrow or the next day. But these were from August. And they are in the gray, kind of gray line. Oops, can you see them all? So these are, this one's called Tool Shed by Cottage Garden Threads. And this one is Delta. Ampersand. Pretty. Yeah, not real sure how to say this. Aeonium. Kind of greenish and gray. And Felix. This one's mostly black. So I'm thinking these will come in handy when I need to like stitch in a gate, like a wrought iron gate, or a rooftop that I want, like say this one. I'm picturing this one as a really cool rooftop, you know, it kind of is mossy, got some moss growing on it, an old house. That would be really cool. So got those. And then I'm in Bestitch Me's fabric of the month and silk of the month. She hand dyes silks and fabric. And last month for August, because this is September 30th, I usually get her things the end of the month for the month. I get, in the fabric, I get her 28 count because her weave is tighter. And I found when I was getting 32 count, it was really tight and real small. So I switched to 28 count Lugana, and I get a fat quarter, which is 18 by 27. And this one is called Water Nymph. And this is what this one looks like. Really pretty soft greens and yellows, a little bit of blues. So I have Water Nymph as the fabric for that month. And then the flosses for August, the silks, were blues. So I have Poseidon, and hers come in 10-yard skeins. Isn't that really pretty blue? Poseidon, Louis, more of a purpley, like a periwinkle blue. Neptune, Wave, and Deep Sea. Really darker, kind of a royal blue. So if I hold them all up together, you can see how they're just different shades of blue. Really pretty. So add those to my collection. And then this month, I just got it in the mail today. I got Sand Dollar, 28 count Lugana, a fat quarter, called Sand Dollar. And that's what this one looks like. It's more of a neutral. And it's kind of a gray and tan looking. I don't know if that's showing up really well. Really pretty. I know I'm going to be able to find something really easy to put on that one. And because it's a very, very neutral. That other one is pretty because it's greens and blues. Then they came with the tan silks, which wheat is one color. Buttermilk, more of a buttery tan. Biscotti, oat, and corn silk. So if I put those all together, you'll be able to see the variations of the tans in these. Aren't those pretty? So those were my Bestitch Me. All my my monthly club haul for the last month and a half. And then when I was at Brick City, I picked up, I bought the piece of fabric that I'm stitching Bump in the Night. So I picked up Bump in the Night, the orange and black thread that I'm stitching it with, and the fabric, the sugar and cream, or cream and sugar. And then I picked up two other pieces of fabric while I was there. This one is 28 count Lugana in the color Olympia. They don't tell you who the fabric dyer is. But this is Olympia, 28 count Lugana. Isn't that pretty? I like it. So I picked that one up, put it in my fabric storage. I wanted to show it to you guys first. And I picked up a piece of 16 count Aida in the color Thyme, like the herb, T-H-Y-M-E, thyme. And it's kind of a, you know, it's just a greenish, a mottled greenish color. Very, very pretty. So I picked those up at Brick City. And then when I was at Salty Yarns, I purchased the Teresa Kogut Halloween book and that piece of fabric that I'm stitching her on and some threads that I needed. But I also picked up a couple of more pieces of fabric by Fortnite Fabrics. And these, like I said, I love Fortnite, especially their Lugana. It's soft, it's beautiful, very plush. This one is called Exceptional, and it's 32 count Lugana. So I got a good sized piece of this one. It's got just a slight blue tint to it and gray, kind of a tanny gray. Exceptional. And it is exceptional. It's very pretty. And I picked up one that was kind of greenish. And it's also by Fortnite. I'm going to keep the card with each of them because when I put them on my floss storage, I want to write on the card on their comic book board what color it is. This is 32 count Lugana by Fortnite Fabrics in the color Terrific. And it's a greenish color. Got a little bit smaller piece of this one. It's a very light green. Really pretty. With some mottling in it. Really beautiful. And I picked up a few charts while I was in Salty Yarns. They have lots and lots and lots and lots of charts. You can be in there all day looking at charts. This one is, you've probably seen this one. This one came out, I think, at Market Expo, a few months back. This is The Day by Plum Street Samplers. So I picked up the chart and I went ahead and picked up the threads that I needed for it. And then I picked up another Plum Street Samplers. I was watching Carol, the Salt Block Stitcher, her latest video. And I think it was right before I went to Ocean City. And she had this on an easel sitting behind her. And I couldn't stop looking at it. And I knew I liked it. I'd seen it before. I think I saw Chrissy Crosshatch Quilts had finished this one also, and a couple other people. So I went ahead and got it. It's by Plum Street Samplers, and it's called Ghoul Tide Welcome. I like how the windows are all funky in that one. They're not lined up nice and even. It's just, and the beautiful white pumpkin, and the witch here with her horse. And that's another big one. That's going to be a lot of stitching in that one. I didn't pick up any of the threads or anything. I just got the chart. And then I got the chart. I was on a Plum Street and a Blackbird kick, evidently. Over on their Blackbird rack, I found 3 that I wanted. And this one is Blackbird Designs. It's Come Into My Garden. So none of these are new. They're just new to me. I just purchased them. Like that one. And the next one was Strawberry Fields Forever from their Beatles line. Picked up that one. This one, at least, is not super large. I usually stitch large things. And Oh Joyous Day. I really want to get started on this one. This might be a spring start for me. That's what I'm thinking. So those were my purchases, my haul. My purchases and my Fabric and Threads of the Month Club deliveries. So next I'm going to talk to you about my plans. One of the things that I'm still doing is my WIP Go. And I had redone my WIP Go board because what I decided, I was scribbling through it so much, I just kind of redid it. I went in and I thought, what I want to do for WIP Go is put in generic. And then I can decide what of that I want to stitch that month, that it's called. So by generic, I mean, for like number 1, I put sampler. I just put sampler. I put L&L as lavender and lace. HR is hawk run. So I just put in a hawk run, a lavender and lace, a plum street, a Twin Peak Primitives piece, you know, a Mirabilia or Nora Corbett or a Teresa Kogut piece. And then later, because we are getting down to the end of the year, I just went ahead and wrote in what I'm going to go ahead and do for each of those pieces, like here for Teresa Kogut when this gets called, because over the months of November and December, I wouldn't mind working on Heaven and Nature, the piece that I showed you that had the little cherub angel and things like that I had worked on recently. And I went ahead for sampler, put in Gilles Leger, because that's just a piece that I had started not too long ago and didn't get very far, so I'd like to see some more work on that one. And for lavender and lace, Santa of the Forest, because we're coming into the time that I don't mind working on some Christmas pieces. So all of the ones that are highlighted are ones that I have finished, that have met the goal. And my goal is 3 days or 10 hours, or at least 10 hours. And you see I wrote revised. So I've marked out, actually, I just today, that A Perfect World was my number 25, right down here. And I finished that goal just today. So I actually finally have a WIP go. I actually have a bingo, a WIP go. I write over here on this column, on this side, the month that they were called. And then when they're called, I write the month they were called and put 1/ through it. When I finish it, I finish the X and I highlight it out, and I highlight down here and I'll highlight over here. So I know I still have these 4 left, and I'll circle it too. So I have these 4 that aren't highlighted that are circled. That's what I have left to still work on. So in my plans for this month, I've written in Gilles Leger and First Thanksgiving by Twin Peak Primitives. And what was the other one? Oh, Nantucket Rose by Lavender and Lace. Those pieces. So I'm planning on working on those this month and getting those WIP Go pieces done, so that I want to work 3 days on these. And I'm going to go ahead and show you where they are right now. So Nantucket Rose is by Lavender and Lace. She's what I would call one of my fancy folk. And this is what she looks like. And I've only gotten a start over here. I haven't started on her yet. And I am stitching this on a 16 count piece of Ada in the color Sea Spray. I wanted a blue because if you look, this is all solidly stitched except for the sky in this piece. It's a pretty solid stitched piece. So 16 count Ada in the color Sea Spray, and this is how far I have gotten. So this most of this here is going to be open. There's still some more of the tree canopy to stitch here. And then I started a little bit on the trees down here, and this is the water. This is part of the Nantucket Bay in the piece. So I want to work 3 more days and see if I can get some more filled in. I could start working on her sleeve, or I can come in and just fill in more here. Maybe try to get this little house in. Not sure where I want to start on this when I pick it up again. But this is where it is. This is where, so when I show it to you at, by the end of the month, I'm hoping to have a little more progress on this one. And in the past, I've stitched a lot of my lavender and laces on Ada, my angels and things like that, and the Celtic ladies, because the only fractional stitching is a little bit in their skin. And I can just pierce the middle of the Ada square to get the little bit of, you see, like maybe it'll shape her nose and chin and maybe her hands a little. That'll be the only part that is fractional stitching. And that's easy, to do. If it had a whole bunch of fractional stitches, I wouldn't want to probably do it on Ada because that would be a lot of work, but there's not that much, honestly. My other WIP Go piece that I'm going to try to work on this month is Gilles Leger by Reflet de Soie. And that looks like this. And I only have a little bit of start up here in the upper corner. And I am stitching this one on to Lugana. Looks like a fiber on a whim, but I think it's a mystery piece. I think I'm using all the called for DMCs for this one so far. And this is how far I am on this piece. So I don't have, yeah, there's a thread. Time I look, oh no, it's a wrinkle. That's all I have done in this one so far. I got a good ways to go, so I'm hoping to get a little bit more done on this one. Gilet by Reflet de Soie. I'm really looking forward to getting down into like this house and stuff. It's really going to be gorgeous. So this is that piece. And then the other Whip Go piece that I'd like to work on this in the month of October, this coming month, is The First Thanksgiving by Twin Peak Primitives. It looks like this. And I'm working up here. Got this flag done. I started working in here. Got some of this bunting and border done. I'm stitching this one on a 16 count Aida in the color Dirty. And I am using some of the called for and pulling a lot of colors myself. So, and this is where I am. So I'm hoping I don't know, I might come down here and work more in this vignette, the Plymouth Plantation. Since we're coming up soon, it'll be Thanksgiving. I wanted to get some more work done on this one. Maybe over the next couple of months, I can get some work on this one. Like I said, I'm a seasonal stitcher, so we're in the fall season. I want to get some fall done, and like I said, I'm starting to get some work done on some of my Christmas pieces also. Other plans that I have. What I'm going to try for the last quarter of this year, we have October, November, and December. I have 3 months left. We have 3 months left of the year. I want to try to do a rotation. I'm going to try to do 3-day rotations on pieces. And what I'm going to do, I'm sorry, sometimes the zipper pulls hit the table. I hope that's not making too much noise. What I want to do is, I told you I'm going to be working every morning that I can. I'm working on One Nation by Bygone Stitches, the big flag piece with the states, the name of the states. I'm trying to work on putting a thread in every day. And then I want to start seeing some finishes. And I have large pieces. And so I figure if I can get what I'm going to call focus pieces and start getting more work on a few pieces. And by more work, my plan is, and I'm going to try this for this 3 months. If it works, I'm going to continue it into 2023. But I picked 4 pieces that I would like to continue to work on 3 days every single month. Put them in my monthly rotation every month till they're finished. And my focus pieces that I picked out are A Perfect World, which I showed you, with the black strip down at the bottom and all of the flowers and the little puppy dogs. I want A Perfect World, Elizabeth Weston, my Hands Across the Sea piece that I started for my birthday because she is a big girl. So I want this may be a focus piece, have to be a focus piece for 2 years before I finish her. But if I continue to get steady progress on her, I can get her finished. If not, she may sit in my stack of WIPS and not get finished for 10 years. So I'm going to try to focus on her. Another one that I want to try to focus on is that I feel like I can get it finished if I focus on it a couple of months, 3 at the most. I probably could finish this by the end of the year. And that is my Prairie Schooler Village sampler, because I am a good halfway through this one. This one is being stitched on a piece of 16 count Aida. I think this one is, what color is this one? Milk chocolate. And I am already this far, and it's not that big. It's only, this is the last house here at the top. There's a tree right here. So it just comes over to about here and down to where the church is down here. So I can get that. I should be able to, if I put that in my rotation every month, I should be able to finish this by the end of the year. If not by the end of November, maybe 2 rotations, I might be able to get it done. We'll see. It depends on how much stitching I can get done in those days that I have it scheduled. So, and then when I finish, I have 4 focus pieces. I'll try to continue to keep having 4 focus pieces. So if I finish this one, I can rotate another piece in as a focus piece until I get it finished. So if I finish this one in 2 or 3 months, I'll put something else in. And then the last focus piece that I have for right now is one that I started with my friends Cindy and Madeline and Paula. And this is Let Love Reign by Teresa Kogut. So it came out of this book. And it looks like, let me see if I can find the full picture. I don't want to show the chart. Where is it? Here it is. Looks like this. And I'm up in here. And I am stitching this one on a piece of 28 count Lugana in the color Ivory. I brought it with me to Ocean City, but I did not get a chance to touch this piece. This is the only one that I did not do any stitching on that I brought with me. And this is how far I am. And this is a big piece. So I want to make this a focus piece. I love it. But if I don't make it a focus piece, like I said, it might take me 10 years, just like Elizabeth Weston. It could take me, 8-10 years to finish. So I love starting new things, and I love having several projects to be able to work on. But I also, and I'm very much a process stitcher, but I still enjoy finishing things. So I think if I can get some of these big pieces and just pull them out and work on them regularly, 3 days every month, then maybe I can get, start getting some of these finished sooner rather than later, instead of them hanging around for a long time. So in my rotations every month, I want to do 3-day rotations. Every single month, those 4 pieces are going to be in there till they're finished, and then something will take its place. Every morning that I'm home and have the time, I'm stitching on my One Nation piece, and then I have 2 WIPGO pieces at least every month. Right now I'm trying to catch up, so I'm putting 3 in because I'm a little bit behind. I put 3 in for this month, and I'll put 3 in for October, and then I should be caught up and only have to do the 2 in December that are called. So on top of those, I have categories like I want to try to rotate in a fancy folk. So it could be a Mirabilia, a Nora Corbett, a Lavender and Lace piece, and a Twin Peak Primitives, because I have a few big ones of those, and a Teresa Kogut piece. So for the month of October, I want to work on my Teresa Kogut Halloween sampler, the one I just started at Ocean City. And then I want to work on the first Thanksgiving, because it's on my WIPGO. It was called on my WIPGO. It's a Twin Peak Primitives. It's the season for it. So I want to work on the first Thanksgiving. And then my Fancy Folk piece is going to be my Lavender and Lace Nantucket Rose, because I haven't touched her in quite a while. So I'd like to see a little work done on her. So when I pull up my calendar, which is kind of hard to, I scribble, but I have, so starting tomorrow, I'll work on the Prairie Schooler Village Sampler. So when I check in with you guys next time, you should be able to see some progress on my Village Sampler, my Let Love Reign, my Nantucket Rose, and the Halloween Sampler for sure, and Gila J. Those are, I have scheduled in for the first couple of weeks of October. My plan is to try to get back with you guys probably on like what I'm going to try somewhere around the 15th of the month and the end of the month, trying to do check-ins. So if I'm doing the rotations, you know, then I'll be able to get through like 4 rotations, 4 or 5, about like 5 rotations in 15 days, and show you where I am on those pieces, and then at the end of the month, and then tell you what my plans will be for the next month. So hopefully I'll have a bunch of progress on those things to show you guys when I check in with you next time. And maybe I'll have some more progress on my WIP go. So then, like I had told you, I'll just kind of touch on my 2023 plans, kind of what I'm thinking for, as far as WIP go. I just started another WIP go for 2023. I just kind of wrote it on a piece of paper. And like I said, just putting in the generic, I just plugged in, you know, Sampler, Plum Street, Mirabilia or Nora Corbett, NC, Twin Peak Primitives, Lavender and Lace, Hawk Run, Sampler, Teresa Kogut, Plum Street, you know, Cottage Garden, because I have 2 or 3 of theirs, you know, so they're generic. And then I can pick which Hawk Run. If it's called at the time of the year that I want to work on Shores of Hawk Run, maybe it's called sometime in the summertime. I would like to work on the shores. If that Hawk Run number is called in around Christmas time, I'll work on Christmas at Hawk Run, you know. Twin Peak Primitives, if it's in the summertime, I might work on my One Nation Under God piece. Or Land That I Love, one of my patriotic pieces. If it's called in the winter time, then maybe I'll work on my, I have a Patriotic Christmas that was given to me by Mickey that we started together. So, you know, some of these, I just put generic, and then when the month that it's called, I can pick which of those. Samplers, I have a gazillion, you know, I probably have 30 samplers. So I can just pick a sampler. And maybe it'll be Floral Motif. Maybe it'll be Gilles Leger. Maybe, you know, whichever one I wanted to plug in for my sampler for the month. So that's what I did. And then over here, it's just left blank for me to start plugging in the numbers as they're called for the year. But this is my board for 2023 so far. I think that might work for me. I'm just kind of putting in generic categories and then filling in the exact stitch piece when it gets closer to the time when it's called. So I think that is it. I think I have gone over everything. I think I have showed you all of my WIPs, all of my starts, all of my haul, all of my plans so far. I think that's it. Oh, well, I was in Florida. My mom went with me to Brook City Stitchers, and she picked up a Button and Beads by Mill Hill kit. It's a little butterfly, and wanted me to show her how to start stitching. So my mom's crafty. Where I got my crafting bug was from my mom. She's quilted, she's candle wick, I don't know if you knew, she's done ceramics, Artex painting, all kinds of stuff back in the day. She used to do all the different kind of, she's sewn. She used to sew clothes. She sewed clothes for my sister and I, and things like that when we were little. She sewed the Easter dresses for my daughters one year. So I was showing her how to cross stitch, and she saw me diamond painting about a year ago and picked up diamond painting. So she wanted me to show her how to cross stitch. So I was having fun doing that. So I always like to get somebody else interested in the hobby. It's fun. So that is it. I hope you guys are doing wonderful, that everybody that's been in the path and is in the path of Hurricane Ian, that you're doing good and everything is fine. I'm looking outside. We just got light rain here. But like I said, we're probably going to have rain for 3 or 4 days. That's scheduled from now till Tuesday or something, like it's supposed to rain here. But that's fine. We need rain. That doesn't bother me. I know low-lying areas eventually will start getting flood warnings and stuff like that, but my house isn't located on a low-lying area, so I'm not worried about my house flooding. But I charged all my devices when our governor put in a state of emergency for Virginia a couple of days ago. I thought, if we are without power, I at least want to be able to stitch if it's dark. So I have a few light things that I can charge, and and a power pack, a power bank that I charged to make sure it was charged up, make sure my iPad's charged and all that kind of stuff, so that if I have to, I can at least stitch if I'm in the dark. Other than that, I think everything's been great here, and I pray for you guys to have a wonderful, wonderful couple of weeks, and hopefully I will be back, not hopefully more like the 15th, 16th, and not 5 or 6 weeks. Hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be back. That is my plan. That is what I'm shooting for, because I had so much piled up to show you guys this time, and I thought, this is ridiculous. I need to get in my schedule that I can do it more often than instead of waiting, 5, 6 weeks to do a video. Excuse me, I need to get a drink, clear my throat. So that is going to be my plan. I just was traveling a lot. And when the holidays come, who knows? When Christmas is here, I've got my one daughter, the younger daughter, her husband's in the Army, and they're getting ready to get stationed right around the holidays. They're going to be leaving from Virginia. He's stationed up in Northern Virginia, and now he's going to be stationed in Colorado. So they will be checking out of here right around the holidays. They want to get the boys registered in school in Colorado as soon as winter break is over, if they can. So they will be hitting the road and might be staying here in our house for a little while, once they have to vacate base housing, post housing, and pack up their household goods and have them shipped off, so that their household goods hopefully can be there by the time they get there or shortly after. They may be staying with us for a few days or a week or two, however long, until they can head out to Colorado. It's always up in the air until last minute. Everything has to fall in place. Orders have to be in hand, and movers contacted, and housing, and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a process to military moves. I know that well. We had to do it many times when I was growing up. And my grandsons, the one started high school this year. So hopefully they'll get settled and be able to stay for a little while in Colorado, so that the boys can establish some semblance of, being established in a high school, because his brother is 1 year behind him. They're close in age. So the younger son will be, my other grandson will be starting high school next year. So, and my oldest grandson, he does baseball. So he's, and by spring going to be wanting to sign up for baseball and stuff like that. So hopefully they will get moved, get settled, and be able to get the boys all settled in. So I could be saying all that to say that even though I have best laid plans to try to check in with you guys every couple of weeks, 3 at the most, 2 to 3 weeks, if it falls longer around the holiday time, with family. And I know my mom's coming up. She's going to come up here to stay and see everybody. Especially she wants to see, for sure, my younger daughter, son-in-law, and the 2 grandkids, her great-grandsons, before they head out to Colorado, because she's not sure if she's going to get out to Colorado at all, or maybe only once, so she really, really would like to spend some time with them too. So I know she's coming up for Christmas, and I might have them living with me around Christmas and things like that. So I may be a busy household, and if I have grandchildren and dogs, because then my daughter comes with 2 big dogs. She has a golden retriever and a chow mix, a rescue, that they're not really sure what all she has in her, but she definitely has chow. They're very fluffy, furry, shedding dogs. And then my 2 little ones will have 4 dogs. It'll sound like a kennel in here. Grandsons and other family members coming to visit from out of state. And so my house might be busy and hubbub going on. Lots of good times, I'm sure. But busy, and might not be able to have the time to come in my craft room. Because if they're living with me, the last time when they moved to Virginia, This room was the room they lived in. This is where they put their mattresses on my craft room floor, and this is where they slept down here because they came when my mom was visiting and her husband, and my stepson was here, so he was in the other room upstairs, what we slate as his room when he's here visiting. So we had a house full. So if we have a house full again and I have people sleeping here in my craft room, I don't think I'm going to be able to film my videos. So until then, until we meet again, I'm hoping in a couple of weeks, because I don't have any travel scheduled for the month of October until I go in November to my other crafting retreat. I should be here. I should have time to film. So God willing and the creek don't rise. So you guys have a great couple of weeks. Get lots of stitching in and have a wonderful, wonderful time. Wishing you all the best. And thank you so much for checking out my channel and sticking with me this long. Till next time. Love you guys.